everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Well, good.
I'm adjusting to this cold weather. I'm not quite as frozen today.
I went and bought a couple pairs of pants today. I'm like, these capris I've been rocking all summer are not going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. I had to start wearing heavy socks, and I usually hate heavy socks, but I have used them.
Me too, and, well, they look real stupid with capri pants, so...
I mean, there is that.
So, I don't want to be that person at Walmart, so... But I may be sometime. There's no promises here.
I mean, I can guarantee nothing at this point.
I hear this. I'm working my tail off because we mentioned that our nephew is his football team is playing in the state championship game on Friday night. And yesterday, our sister said, "Wouldn't it be great if we all had matching t-shirts?" And we said, "Yes, it would." Well, there's 11 of us going to the game. So I'm working feverishly on t-shirts. So I'll show you. This is, that's the image.
It's so great. I love it.
Though this is what will be sublimated on. So the colors on this one are like dull. They'll be bright and nice when they get done. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I've been working on, is getting all of our images printed and the vinyl cut and all the pieces together so that I can take them to the press here as soon as the show's over and have them done. But yeah, so we'll all have
That's so
matching Jackson
exciting.
Cole shirts for him. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul is knitting socks to combat the cold. Well,
Ooh, good idea.
good on you. Also wanted to offer congratulations to Stevie. Said she just found out she's pregnant with her first baby. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Super,
That's
super
great, Stevie.
exciting. Yeah. Well, what do you say? We've got
I
a lot.
mean, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, have I got a case? But before that, I'm
Oh,
gonna.
wait. Let me give a
What?
quick update, actually. Leilani Simon was sentenced today.
I saw that. Yeah.
Uh, life plus 10 years, I think, with the possibility of parole.
Wow. That's surprising.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, they didn't even prove that she killed Quentin Simon, so I don't think they could put her in prison forever. They certainly didn't prove intent.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
Very
That was
interesting.
quick.
Yes, this whole thing has been quick. Her entire case has been sort of scary quick, I think.
Yeah.
I don't like it when cases go too fast like that. It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
you know,
Are they really
why?
getting a robust defense? Is this really? Of course, not all cases are complex as like De Belvallo that need years to
Right,
unwind.
right.
But still, I agree with
But
that.
Simon's case was so fast, considering that they never proved cause of death
Yeah.
to even prove murder. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I know a lot of times those cases have a lot of public pressure.
Hmm. Oh, definitely on that one. Yeah.
So anyway, thought that was interesting. Possibility of parole.
Yeah. Listen, I know I already asked you this question, but I can't remember what the answer was. What
Oh,
would you like to do first?
I would like to do some WTF news.
Okay.
All right, so there was another sentencing that just happened that I want to talk about. Um, we didn't cover this case. It just, sometimes I think it was going on around Daybell or around Chad Daybell. But this is Dr. Raynaldo Riviera Ortiz.
Hmm.
Let me show you a picture of him. He is the anesthesiologist from Houston, I think, who,
Okay. We talked briefly about this case. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
he's the guy who just sort of randomly injected drug cocktails into bags of saline at the surgical center where he worked, and then just stuck them in the saline warmer so that any rando could just
Oh my God.
take that and give it to whoever got it.
Got it.
This story, this guy, man, he's been a problem for a long time, it sounds like.
What was the motive
But
of that? Was this
um,
shoddy work, or he was like actively
he's a
trying to
dick.
hurt people?
He was mad because he was under investigation and being uh, observed because of an error that he made during a surgery.
Oh.
And he is a very vindictive person. So let me tell you about what he's been sentenced to and what he was convicted of and stuff first. And then we'll talk about, because that was my question. What in the hell motive would you have in a situation like this? So his trial was in April, and he was found guilty on 10 counts of tampering with IV bags and the adulteration of drugs. Now, one of the real sad parts about this is that one of the people that got one of these IV bags actually died.
Oh.
And that person was one of his coworkers who took a saline IV bag home with her to treat herself for dehydration.
Oh my God.
But they apparently don't quite have enough to prove murder, and so he has not actually been charged in her death. There was surveillance video in the hospital of him taking IV bags out of the warmer and taking them somewhere and then putting them back in. And there was also some video of him mixing up some medications from various vials.
Oh.
So they had enough to prove the tampering, but they did
Mm-hmm.
not actually have enough um, to prove murder, which I think is really sad.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because the judge and the jury are having none of this jackass's nonsense. And he was just sentenced to 190 years in prison. Yeah,
Eligible for parole at 150?
something like that. Yeah. But yeah, they didn't even charge him with manslaughter. They didn't have enough to
Mm-hmm.
charge him at all. But they have the toxicology from her as well as other people who got sick
Mm-hmm.
to prove, they know what medications were used.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, apparently the judge was like, well, you know what? We're just going to make sure this can definitely never, ever happen again,
Oh
even in
no.
this century.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
terrifying.
190
Wow.
years in prison.
Well, and the poor coworkers, the one who died, obviously, that's horrific. But all
Right.
of them that gave a bag to somebody who then got sick.
Yes.
It wasn't their fault,
They
but I'm
were
sure they were still horrified.
right. Because this was a surgical center. So those were IV bags that were going for people who were in surgery
Oh
at the
my
time that they
gosh.
received these tainted bags. So what he put in them, they were saline bags with epinephrine, which we know is a stimulant,
Mm-hmm.
uh, bupa, bupivacaine, which is a nerve blocking agent,
Oh.
and other drugs that were things like lidocaine, which is an anesthetic. And the combination of those things can cause like heart palpitations and like it can cause like cardiac arrest.
Mm-hmm.
It's so wild because he just did this with some random bags, put them back there, and then nurses started picking them up and taking them into operating rooms.
What was his defense?
And uh, as far as I can tell, he didn't have one.
It doesn't have to, but
No,
yeah.
I mean they couldn't
Wow.
they couldn't definitively prove intent on it, which was very strange. But so he's implicated but not charged in the death of fellow anesthesiologist coworker Dr. Melanie Casper in June of 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, and her autopsy found that she had a lethal dose of the bupivacaine. That is a weird word in her system.
Unreal.
And her husband said he killed my wife. It wasn't through malice; it was through pure calculation. He was
Mm-hmm.
just causing
Chaos.
chaos. So there were
Mm.
7 victims, believed to be 7 victims. He was not charged on all of them. He was actually only charged on 4 because they were the ones that he could prove.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the judge, this is Chief U.S. District Judge David Godby. He told everyone who spoke that he appreciated them and heard them, the victims who spoke,
Mm-hmm.
and what they had to say was important. He went on to state that he believed Ortiz was responsible for all of the events and said he did it.
Wow.
Uh, During sentencing, Judge Godby also said that he believes that Dr. Kaspar and the other unindicted victims suffered from the contact of Dr. Ortiz and found that he caused death of his colleague, and called the other acts equivalent to attempted murder, even
Yeah.
though they couldn't charge him. Then he
You bet
sentenced
they
him to
were.
190 years in prison.
Good. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and you think, my God, this guy's a doctor. He's an anesthesiologist. How could someone be this terrible? Well, let me tell you something. This dude is way more terrible than we even know. He has quite a history. Let me tell you a few things that I learned about him. So, uh, he his practice was being monitored by another physician because there was an incident with a patient in November of 2020. So the Texas Medical Board put him under observation, basically, where another doctor was observing what he was doing. The board found Dr. Ortiz failed to meet the standard of care for a patient during a procedure and was the subject of disciplinary action as a result of the incident. He was being monitored by another physician. He was fined $3,000 and ordered to take 8 hours of education in medical record keeping and 8 hours in resuscitation and intubation techniques.
Oh.
According to the complaint from the Texas Board of Medicine, Ortiz's patient required CPR and emergent transport during a procedure at the North Garland Surgery Center. The incident resulted in an adverse recommendation after an internal review, and he was forced to relinquish all clinical privileges.
Wow.
Apparently, he didn't recognize a patient's inadequate oxygenation and ventilation, and did not respond in an appropriate manner when the patient required CPR, and did not document the critical events in medical records. So he fucked up and then he didn't write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, so he quit that place because of that.
Sure.
He had been reprimanded prior in October 2018, fined $2,000, had his clinical privileges suspended for 14 days for failing to report that he was convicted of animal cruelty. And what do you think happened there? Well, a neighbor witnessed a domestic violence incident between him and his girlfriend, and she testified against him. And so he shot her dog with a pellet gun.
Oh.
The dog lived, fortunately, but he was charged and convicted with
Mm-hmm.
animal cruelty over that incident.
Wow.
He also has a he did 25 days in jail um, after he was convicted for the animal cruelty. He appealed the conviction, lost on all arguments. And then he has quite a history of domestic violence.
Mm.
I mean, this dude should not have been a doctor,
No.
really. Um, so in June of '95, so he became licensed as a physician in 1991. In June of '95, he was arrested for assault, causing bodily injury to a spouse, his wife, who later divorced him.
My God.
In September 2005, another woman filed for an emergency protection order alleging that he assaulted her. In December
I
of
mean, call me
2014,
crazy, but should someone who is a batterer be able to be a dog?
Right? I'm kind of thinking no, considering what he's
Doctor?
done here. Yeah,
Yeah.
scary. In December of 2014, he was arrested for assault and domestic violence involving a third victim. In January of 2015, the third woman filed for an emergency protective order and settled with Ortiz for an undisclosed amount of money rather than her go to the police. The mother of Ortiz's son has said that he had been abusive for years. She said he threatened to kill me before, even told me how he would do it, including cutting my finger off to get the ring.
Oh.
He said the only thing stopping him from killing me was he would go to jail. He said he denied the allegations and denied he'd ever been married to that woman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. And also, dude owes $4.1 million in back taxes to the IRS.
How much?
$4.1 million.
Holy cow.
There is a lien on his house, which is only worth $1.3 million. So this dude is trash all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad that he was allowed to continue practicing through all of this,
It's shocking that he was
that
allowed to
finally led
continue
to the death
practicing.
of someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, very dangerous guy and just
Can you imagine what a douche he
incredibly
must have been like to work
hateful
with?
and vindictive. Oh God, I cannot imagine.
Just on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
And what a narcissist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just risks all of these people's lives, doesn't give a fuck about any of them or
Mm-hmm.
what situations they might be in, and literally causes the death of one of his coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
Hideous.
Terrible. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and imagine you go to the hospital. This is a surgical center. Maybe you go in for a minor procedure and die because this asshole was having a bad day
Yeah.
and dosed your IV bag. Like, oh. So, 190 years might not even be enough, but at least it means that he's not going to be able to administer any other medicine to
Yeah.
people.
For
Yikes.
sure. Wowza.
So, I'm sure that that sentence is going to get appealed because that is really excessive. But it doesn't matter. Um, the world now knows
Mm-hmm.
what a heinous person he is,
Yep.
and he'll still do a huge amount of time, and
Oh, yeah.
hopefully never be able to hurt anybody ever again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he looks like he's got to be in his 50s.
I think so. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I have his age. He's 60,
He's
actually.
60.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so chances are very good he'll never be released.
Mm-hmm. Whew.
Yeah.
Well, sucks to suck.
Yikes. Yes, it does. And with that, Katie, I'm going to kick it over to you for our main case.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to hop on the airplane today. Grab your passports if you have them, and if you don't, that's fine. We're going to Thailand.
Ooh.
I want to introduce you to this lady right here. Her name is Sararat Rangsiwuthaporn, also known as Cyanide by the press. And Sararat was convicted and sentenced today to death.
Cyanide? Whoa.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what am means, but I'm going to go with Ms. Cyanide or Lady Cyanide or Bitch
something along
Cyanide. I
those
don't know.
lines. Let me tell you what she did. And this, by the way, is the first of 15 trials that there should be. We'll see if they actually go that far. But they are
Whoa.
trying her separately for her crimes. And again, we're not sure if they'll actually try her for all of them or not, but she is accused of murdering 15 people. So the case that she was actually sentenced for today was murdering a friend last year. So this happened on April 14th, 2023. Sararat had a friend named Siriporn who she had gone with to a pier in the Banpong district to release fish. So there's a Buddhist ritual to release fish in a certain way for good karma and protection. So they went together to do that, and while on the banks of that river, Siriporn collapsed. And so Sanat did what any great friend would do. She took all of her stuff and left.
Oh
And
my
just
God.
left her on the banks of the river dying with a bunch of strangers attending to her. And she just got in the car and left. She took her purse, her phone, her car, and just took
Holy
off.
shit.
And after Siriporn's death, that it made people around her go, "What the hell's going on?" Because as it turns out, she's had a rash of death around her, including her boyfriend and
Uh-oh.
multiple close friends. So what? So a lot of people started calling the police and saying, "Wait a second! If she was involved in this, like, there's something going on here." So what they
Mm-hmm.
learn about her is that she has an intense gambling problem, online gambling problem, to
Oh.
the tune of wagering close to $300,000 a day.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I was going to say $300,000 is a lot, but a day?
A day. That's the. From looking at her accounts, authorities are saying that she was risking somewhere around $300,000 US dollars per day.
Holy shit.
So she was running herself out of money pretty quick.
I mean,
So,
she had more than a day's worth?
yeah. So the shtick was she'd make friends with somebody who was wealthy, and she would tell them that she was running out of money, or she couldn't pay her credit card bills, something along those lines, and ask for a loan. And a lot of people loaned her money. And once they did, she'd kill
Oh
them
my God.
so she wouldn't have to pay him back. And it was all with cyanide. So
How
some
did
of
this
them,
happen more than once without people noticing?
right? Some of them died after a meal with her. They think she was just literally just putting cyanide in the food they were eating. Uh, some of them were given herbal capsules by her for various things, just shared medicine with them.
Oh my God.
One lady went to lunch with her and shopping, and she started coughing. And Sanat said, "Oh, here I've got these herbal pills for coughing that really help." So she took one of them. And then when she was driving home, she started to have chest pains. She tried to call Sanat. She didn't answer. She managed to get to a hospital and actually lived. So there's one case, there's one attempted murder charge. The rest of them are all straight up murder charges.
Holy crap.
In the meantime, her ex-husband, who happened to be the police chief,
Yeah.
and her attorney conspired to protect her and hide her some of her belongings, and they both have also been sentenced to 2 years apiece in prison for helping her out.
Why would you help her? Oh my God.
Well, because when she was arrested, she was pregnant with the police chief's child.
Oh,
She
she's
miscarried the
definitely
baby
someone.
in jail at
Oh,
about 6 months gestation.
probably the best thing that ever happened to that baby. Wow.
Right? I mean, can you even with this? Yeah.
No.
So, so they did find her guilty of Siriporn's death, and they have sentenced her to death. But she won't be going anywhere quite yet. By the way, she has spent 78 billion baht, which is the U.S. equivalent of $2.3 million over 3 years on one particular gambling site.
Holy shit.
This is big
How
time.
unethical the whole thing about online gambling, because it's bullshit. But how
Hmm.
unethical that someone has spent that much money on their site and they're allowed to continue with that person. Like,
Yep.
obviously, someone's got a major problem.
And to get the money for it, she was just killing. So we don't know a lot about the other victims. Well, we know one of them was an ex-boyfriend that she saw briefly. We know three of them were female police officers. Because she was friends with cops. Her ex-husband was a cop. Uh, so there's a lot we don't know. So I'll keep an eye on this. Cases from overseas are a little harder for us to follow, but hopefully I can keep it on my radar. Uh, but that's what's happening. So I looked up the death penalty in Thailand. I was curious. What is the death penalty in Thailand?
Hmm.
So here's what I learned. Thailand, their most current legal standing on the death penalty is from 1935. There was kind of
Wow.
depending on who was king earlier in their history, it depended on whether or not they had the death penalty at all or how it was carried out. And so it was normalized in 1935. So in 1935, the death penalty was normalized and shooting was the only method. So how did they do shooting? Offenders were handcuffed to a cross and an executioner fired a machine gun at their back on command.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. A machine gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
and handcuffed to a cross.
Yeah.
Weird.
In 1955, three men were executed for killing King Matadal, and their arms were fixed to the crossbar and their hands clasped in a traditional Y. In their hands were placed incense sticks, flowers, and candles. The executioner fired a barrage from a submachine gun at each condemned man's heart. Yes. One convict, who she was convicted of organizing a kidnapping, was put on the cross twice because the first time she survived.
Oh my God. She survived being shot by a machine gun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
In
that's horrible.
2001, yeah. In 2001, five convicts were executed in a public execution, uh, all together at the same time, and human rights groups did not like that. In 2003, they decided that they were done shooting and they were going to do what everybody was doing and adopt lethal injection. So the last execution by shooting was done on December 11th, 2002. And the first execution by lethal injection was the 12th of December 2003. As of June 18th, 2018, they have done 326 executions since 1935.
Wow.
319 were executed by shooting and 7 by lethal injection. So since 2003, they've actually only executed 7 people.
Wow.
So that's
Whew.
what we know about the death penalty in Thailand. So it would be lethal injection if it's carried out. But in the meantime, she's still going to stand trial for a whole bunch more of these murders. So we'll see what happens with that. But they are calling her Thailand's first female serial killer. There has not been one like her in the past that they
Oh
know
my
of.
God. Yikes. Wow.
Yeah, wild. So, with that, I'm going to turn you over for a crime news update.
Yes. Well, squad, we've got to talk about Jussie Smollett.
Oh my goodness.
This is quite the situation. This is Jussie Smollett. You might
Mm-hmm.
remember in 2019, he reported a hate crime against himself,
Mm-hmm.
that he had been attacked uh, and beat up for being black and gay. And this was in Illinois. And it was discovered fairly quickly. This supposedly happened in Chicago. It was discovered fairly quickly that the incident did not occur, and that this was a false report. So then, because at first, like, there was huge public outcry. He was,
Yeah.
he's a fairly well-known actor. People were like, "Holy shit, we can't be
Right. He
having
was
this
on a
stuff
really
happen."
popular series at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So initially, when they decided to charge him, he met with a special prosecutor that had agreed with him to not charge him. And there were some things put in place. This was Cook County State Attorney Kim Fox, who agreed to drop the charges against him and just let him do some community service and pay some restitution because they figured that he cost the city like $120,000 in searching for the non-existent hate crimers.
Yeah.
So then a different prosecutor took over his case. And this prosecutor said, no, we are going to charge you, and took him to trial. And he was found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sentenced to 150 days in jail. Well, you thought maybe it was done by then, right?
Right. You would.
So he was convicted of 5 counts of disorderly conduct and sentenced to 150 days in jail. He was ordered to pay a $250,000 fine and the $120,106 in restitution to the city of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He only served 6 days of that sentence before he was released while he appealed his case.
Mm-hmm.
So last year in December, the Illinois Appellate Court upheld his conviction, sided with prosecutors. But here's the question. This is what happened that has changed this completely. This went to the Illinois Supreme Court. And the Illinois Supreme Court found that his rights, his due process rights, had been violated when the first prosecutor had agreed not to pursue charges against him and had him do some community service. That was something called where'd it go? Oh, nolle prosequi. I may be saying that wrong. Nolle prosequi is a Latin phrase that's used in the legal system, which directly translates to not to wish to prosecute. And it can be, something that happens in a civil case or a criminal case. And it's basically a prosecutor can say, okay, we're not going to prosecute you, but we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So his argument to the Illinois Supreme Court was this was double jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first prosecutor agreed not to prosecute me, gave me community service. He did the community service,
Ooh.
and they shouldn't have been able to then charge me again and convict me.
Mm-hmm.
And the Illinois Supreme Court agreed with him.
Yeah, they should. Not
Yeah,
defending Smollett, but at the same time, like, that is a scary precedent. Yeah, that you could get a new prosecutor that goes, yeah, no, we're going to do this differently. We're doing it my way now. That's not how our laws work.
Right.
Or it's
right.
not supposed to be how our laws work.
It is not supposed to be how our laws work. Yeah.
Interesting.
So the city is still allowed to sue him civilly for the $120,000 that they want to seek from him in damages for
Mm-hmm.
the unnecessary investigation.
Sure.
But that's it. He's done. The conviction is slate wiped clean at this point.
Yeah.
Very interesting situation. I know there are a lot of feelings about Jussie Smollett and what he did and
Yeah.
this whole situation. But I do think we have to be really careful and we have to hold prosecutors accountable. You can't
Mm-hmm.
have one prosecutor just say, yeah, no, we're not going to charge you. Here's what we're going to do. Uh, and then somewhere down the road, another one come and say, oh, no, now we are. Like, right, that
Especially
we
because
have to
he
have those due
complied.
process rights. He
Yeah.
complied. He complied. He took it at face value. He forfeited his $10,000 bond and he did the community service hours. And that was the agreement
Mm-hmm.
that he had with the first prosecutor.
Sure.
And then this other prosecutor comes in and says, no, we're taking you to trial. Well, I think it's a very
I mean,
interesting situation. He has not been in jail during the appeal. He only served 6 days
yeah.
and then was released to allow him to appeal. Because remember, these are misdemeanors
Right. But he should have
that
served
he was
zero
convicted of,
days. 0 days.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all, I think, have some feelings about what he did, but
But
like,
the
we
law.
can't let the legal system, you know, treat people like this.
Mm-hmm.
I just found it a very interesting
Very
situation.
interesting.
This is the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby
Mm-hmm.
when his conviction was thrown out. It is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He had an agreement with a prosecutor, and then another prosecutor went back on that agreement and they charged him and convicted him. And
Yeah.
that sucks because Bill Cosby is a sex offender and should be in
Mm-hmm.
prison, and
Yeah.
he's not because of that.
Yeah.
That's the danger of going back on agreements.
Right. It shouldn't happen.
Right, Paula. That's basically what the Illinois Supreme Court decided is that that second prosecution
Mm-hmm.
case was double jeopardy.
Prosecutors should know
We
better.
are not allowed to have double jeopardy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the risk to the integrity of the legal system was worth that, considering that these were misdemeanors. This was not. I mean, it's terrible in the Bill Cosby
Mm-hmm.
case,
Yep. Yeah. And that's a good point on Jess's part. She said if you don't defend him, then all of the diversion programs would get yeeted too because they go the same way. Right.
right?
So these are usually
Exactly.
first time offender programs. Yeah, that you do community service, you do the thing, that you're supposed to do, and then when it's done, they terminate the case. That would be like, you know, you doing that, and then 6 months later having the prosecutor leave office and a new one come in that goes, nah, I don't think you did enough. We're going to charge you anyway. We're doing this.
Right.
Yeah,
We have to have due process protections,
yeah,
and this is why.
yeah.
So, pretty interesting situation, but his conviction is, well, the Illinois Supreme Court has passed it back to the courts to, you know, throw this conviction out. But he can never be retried. He can only be sued civilly by the city of Chicago.
Oh,
Although, I don't know if they ought to do that, frankly, because I think
right.
he might be able to turn around and sue them for double jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like they might need to just let this one lie.
it might be time to part ways. Yeah.
Right? And maybe he'll sue anyway. I don't know, but just very, very interesting. I am always curious about stuff like this that we learn something new about the legal system. That yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just make a deal like that and have someone comply with it and then come back and go back on it. That's not allowed.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very
So
much.
that's the deal.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, that's what we've got. So we'll be back Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific or Mountain Time. Where are we? Mountain Time to start kick off the week, and lots more true crime to come. Our trial out of Denver is getting ready to start. This is the dentist, the
James
dentist that
Craig.
poisoned his wife. Yep. So we're keeping a close eye on that, but we're going to get there soon, and lots of other stuff going on too. So you can come out and hang out in the Discord with us this weekend. That's always a good place for discussion and sharing ideas and stuff. You can
We'll
tip us
probably
if
give you updates on the state football game there as well.
we will. Yep. You can tip us over at truecrimesquad.com if you'd like to. We appreciate that a lot. You can find both of our stores that way if you want to shop what we do. That's fun too. That's how to do all the good stuff. You can also find our
Hmm.
Blue Sky. If you want to follow us over on Blue Sky, our Blue Sky is wild, you guys. We already have 300 followers over there.
I know it's going crazy. It's
We just
awesome.
got there. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come find us over there if you want to. And that's what we've got. So have a great weekend. Stay warm. Do something good for yourselves, please. And we'll be
Hmm.
back. So this has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.